So one of the interesting kind of barometers to look at is, what do fashion and apparel executives and managers such as ourselves, so, what are they expecting this year, right? So what are the biggest challenges? Now, so this is some data from McKinsey, the business of fashion. The biggest challenge that executives are forecasting is inflation in the economic downturn, which will secondly impact margins and profitability, and then declining consumer demand and confidence. So not unsurprising given what we've just looked at a moment ago, some of the data and the headwinds that we're seeing. Now you flip it around, the interesting thing is actually the biggest opportunity that executives are citing is sustainability. So followed by agility, which you could say, well, actually is a kind of prerequisite, is a requirement, followed by brand differentiation and customer experience. So some definite headwinds, but also opportunity for sure. Now, the question you're probably asking, where does returns fit in this, right? How does this fit into the picture? And the answer and the good news is returns is both an opportunity for driving up profitability, but also delivering your sustainability goals. So when you reduce returns by just 1%, if you're a 500,000 revenue business, that's in excess of 23,000 pounds of gross profit. Whatever currency you want to look at, the numbers are significant. If you're a 100 million revenue business, that's close to 5 million in incremental gross profit. And at the same time, for every return that we take away or we stop, we're saving close to 1 kilogram in carbon. So returns is something that you can control, you can reduce, having both an impact on our profit, but also our sustainability and lowering that impact. So that's hopefully some context with which we're looking at kind of returns. Now, I wanted to, before we get into more detail and depth, just share a little bit of kind of a personal perspective on this. I'm a typical guy shopper. You can see half of me today, but I'm not particularly unique in my shape or size. I'm 6'2", about 85 kilos, probably 5 kilos more than I should be. But I buy clothing online, right? And one of the problems I've found continually is, given my sizing, my shape, which is not particularly unique, why am I at Zara or a large, sometimes a medium, and why at H&M am I a medium or a small? And why am I continually returning? And I suppose actually, like a lot of people actually, once I find one piece of clothing that fits, whether it's a chino, it's a slim fit t-shirt, or a top, I'll buy 10 of them. So, I thought to myself, look, there's got to be a better way to do this. And I suppose the good news is there is, right? I mean, this is not complicated. It's actually about having a systematic approach to tackling returns from the very basics. And the very basics start with measurement. You've got to measure to know where your returns are. You have to segment your customers to know who your keepers, who are your serial returners. And then you need to incentivize and encourage people to exchange. And that's what we call the returns pyramid. Months ago. The positive effects on your bottom line profitability are significant. The positive effects on your sustainability also are meaningful in this climate right now. So let's get into it. So I suppose the first question is, right, where do I start? And that's the challenge, right? Because if you don't know where the problem is, how can you actually address it? So that's the fundamental first question, right? What's causing my returns? Is it the clothing sizing? Is it my size guides? Are they clear enough for shoppers, for customers to actually pick out the right size item? Or do I have specific ranges of clothing that are being returned continually? Or is it specific customers? Do I have, an 80-20 happening where I have a disproportionate number of returns coming from a specific customer base that unfortunately is returning a lot, and it's costing me. So you want to get a grip on returns, right? And to do that, you want to understand exactly where those returns are and to what extent, and that means understanding the numbers. the numbers behind the returns. Because without this, you're guessing. You're fundamentally guessing where you think the problem is, and you won't be able to make a truly meaningful difference and use your time really wisely. So the first step really is log all your returns. And the simplest way we look at this is the customer ID, the reason for the return, and the product ID. The second step is to quantify the impact of the returns to know the size of the profit pool you're going after. And that means essentially 3 components. It means the courier cost, the remerchandising cost, and the attribution of that. And it means the potential write-off cost for resale that needs to be factored in, the number of garments that are actually being sent, not back to be resold, but actually written off. That, once you've done that, that'll give you your historic baseline, your comparison, as well as your objective, right? The profit pool potential you can go after. And the final step is really establishing an ongoing returns measurement process. And there are 2 approaches to this. There's the manual, which is great, and that can serve anyone very effectively, and that is effectively having a disciplined Excel or Google Sheet, for example, or it's actually automating it, which would be with a partner like Loop Returns, Return Rabbit, or Return Logic, for example. So that would be very much the first step on this. Now, the second is we've got serial returners, right? These are the individuals that use favorable return policies to order multiple items continually. And actually, this has gone a step further. I just saw one customer post just yesterday saying that in the UK, one problem he has right now is not only serial returners, but people taking boxes. So these are random boxes. They're loading them with junk, dropping them off the post office and sending them back to a brand or retailer to reclaim 150 or 200 pounds refund, right? So they're trying to fudge their way through to get a return refund, having not even bought the clothing in the first place. Driven to, some of the challenges we're all facing right now as far as cost of living's concerned. But in essence, these serial returners, right, they might genuinely hesitate. They might be ordering up or down or to be safe. But there might also be some of these individuals who are actually habitually ordering multiple items, trying on multiple items, using very conveniently Klarna or ClearPay, so they don't have to pay anything up front and then subsequently returning and causing all of us a severe headache. So the key here is, okay, the challenge is, well, who are they and how can you target them? Because once you know this, you can start to create incentives and favorize those that you want to keep and those that need to effectively have not some penalties, but some encouragement to do things differently. So the steps here are upload and download your analytics pack. And that effectively means, okay, tagging and identifying your return users. And we would suggest at this point to start with a segmentation around 3 user groups. So your serial returners, your occasional returners, and what we call your keepers. Now, the numbers might vary depending on what your start point is. So your serial returners, they could have a return rate as high as 50%. Your occasional returners could have a return rate of between 25 and 50, and your keepers less than 25%. But those numbers are indicative at this point. They will change depending on where your start point is for your particular customers. Now, once you have that, it's establishing then a tiering and communication approach that then incentivizes and rewards accordingly. So if we start first with keepers, they're your loyalists, right? They are buying from you, they're not returning. We would start with a kind of the approach that actually if you have free returns currently, then you're likely or likely to keep those keepers happy. The occasional returners, this would be about tagging them to encourage some sort of payment up front to reduce the courier cost with sign-in, or offering free exchange. The serial returners, however, once they're tagged, we would say that they should be paying courier costs to disincentivize that level of return. So the final area, one of the third problem, I should say, of returns is some of your customers, right? They want to exchange, but they can't or they won't. And this is often the case because you might have an item out of stock, so it's not available for them to easily exchange. Or they fear that they'll run out of time, right? They feel a little bit of time pressure, and they, as we all do, right? When you try on a garment at home, you wonder, like, what is the return? What is the exchange window on this? And this is the at-home fitting room problem, because in an in-store environment, you would try on another item, you would just go back to the rack and you would find either an alternative size or an alternative color, for example. But at home, you're not faced with that choice, which is more challenging. So you want to encourage this, right? You want to encourage your shoppers to positively make a change and provide them with reasons and incentives to exchange their clothing. So there's a number of ways to do this, and 3 kind of quick wins. The first one is, and this depends as well on what your start point is offering free delivery for exchanges versus paid refunded returns. So, and if it's not free, or it's about getting that balance right so that there's a strong incentive to exchange versus to return an item for refund. The second is to exchange your returns, exchange window rather. Most exchanges happen and returns happen within a relatively short window, often something like 14 days. So this encourages your customer to take it home or to have it at home, and it encourages them to take their time deciding on whether or not they can exchange it or return it. So it takes some of the time pressure off them, but also breeds loyalty, right? In the sense of confidence in garments, confidence in the clothing that you're offering your customer. And the final thing is to offer a bonus credit to exchange. And depending on what your cost is from your measurement up front, that could be anywhere up to 1/2 of the return, which you would want to offer to exchange the item and encourage an exchange rather than return it. And we know that from the data and the market that when you push people, or when you encourage, I should say, someone to exchange an item rather than return an item, the lifetime value of that customer is something like 10 to 20% greater. So there's an important specific incentive that is an opportunity here. Now, the 3 things I've shown you are all barriers and problems, as well as solutions to lowering returns, reducing returns. Doing these things will make a difference, for sure. But what's also true, there is a fundamental and real problem, which you can see a little bit on this screen, which we do need to talk about, which is the fact that often you choose the wrong size and it just doesn't fit. So how can we fundamentally solve that problem? And we've all kind of been there at one point or another. Or, whilst we might not all be, serial returners, we might have ordered multiple sizes up or down to have the safety and security that we're buying that right thing. Now, I'd like to think we've never done that, but I'm sure we've all done it at some point. And this is the truth, right? The truth is we do not know our measurements, and we do not know what will fit us. And that's more true now than ever before, right? With vanity sizing, with the confusion over, what is a size, what is my measurement? Used to be a 34-inch waist, was a 34-inch waist, a jean waist. It now does not correspond, right? For lots of different and very good reasons, but nevertheless, this creates confusion. And customers just don't know. They really don't know. So that's the bit that we want to tackle. And we need to tackle to get to the root of this problem, to enable the customer to choose the right item of clothing for them that's going to be fitting them ultimately, and they're going to keep based on their body shape and measurements. And that's at the core of the returns pyramid. Now, there are some options out there. There are predictive solutions. So these predictive solutions take some basic information supplied by customers. So they take height and weight, and they will then predict and say, okay, you're likely to buy this and not return it. So you could be 60% likely to purchase an item, purchase a garment, keep it, and be fine with it. Now, there are some issues with these solutions. One is that they're fundamentally limited in their capabilities. So they don't actually see each individual for who they are. And our bodies, our shapes are incredibly unique. So there's no visual measurement attached to these solutions, which is a bit of a challenge. So how can you predict something as unique as our individual shape without actually measuring it and understanding it? And that's the fundamental challenge with this as a result. It lacks accuracy, and that lacks accuracy, then it can't help actually fundamentally reduce returns. So that's where our solution can help. So our solution works off the basis of a 10-second video. We take 25 measurements for accurate sizing to lower returns. And this can vary. So these types of solutions, this solution can deliver between 5 and 30% reduction, depending very much on the garments, the customer base that you have, the start point of where you are on your returns journey. And the question you might be asking, okay, does it, this is all well and good, but does it really work? And the exciting thing we're very proud of is we're at 98% accuracy, so measurement accuracy. And we've evaluated our technology. Actually, this is a fast-growing UK sportswear company that took the tech. They then hired a tailor, got a tailor, measured and compared, and then assessed our measurement accuracy according to key measurements like chest, waist, hip. And we're proud to say we continue to be at around 98% accuracy, measurement accuracy. So a second feature which we offer here is profile creation. So we talked a little bit.
If you look like
the next street.
Okay.
Why did you go there?
Because I thought it was up here.
And anyway, they didn't take my blood.
Why?
Because my iron level was too low. That's never happened before.
Hey, Harold. You might need to go on mute. All right, put him on mute. So the other thing, the other side of this is easy integration. So this is a solution that is platform agnostic, meaning we've designed it and developed it so that there's no coding required. Effectively, you take a snippet of JavaScript. You can see an element of it here.
Scopes now.
Copy and paste it.
There's scopes now.
And
Scopes.
you copy and paste it into your code, header or footer of a page, and it then runs. So it's as simple as that. It's a GDPR compliant solution. So we offer a data sharing agreement in place with you as a customer. You choose dependent on your ranges of products, women's wear, men's wear, unisex, and customize, and then you launch. It's as simple as that. The other thing that we offer, and this is again dependent on your specific requirements, is accurate body reconstructions, measurements of your customers. So measurements of your operations customers to optimize your operations, meaning you might find actually based on the shapes, the specific shapes and sizes of your customers, you might want to adjust your patterns and optimize your MPD. The second thing that we see as an opportunity is to lower your inventory and ensure that it's fully reflecting the shapes and sizes of your customer. So I'll just play a short video that brings to life the technology and shows you how it works from a desktop application. So this is a user effectively arriving on site. clicks on Get My Size, and then we power the whole experience. So you choose your gender identity, male, female, non-binary, height and weight. We can also offer preference capture. We then walk the customer through a series of clear instructions as to how to take their video. If you're on desktop, a QR code enables the camera on your smartphone. Works off any smartphone, any mobile. You take a 10-second video turning in front of your phone, like this. That then gets processed and scanned. You go back and shop, so you don't wait for the scan. A pop-up then appears and your size profile re-emerges. So if you're shopping on desktop, you see it again where you were shopping with your size profile, your measurements, and your recommendations. As simple as that. So a fairly, simple product with a fair amount of technology in it to make it simple. Supposed to conclude and to give you a sense, look, we're excited. We're offering a limited time offer for the next 6 days. So we're able to offer 20% off our plan. So a growth plan, which offers 150 recommendations a month, is now £120 a month for everyone attending this call until next Monday, as well as we've extended a trial for 28 days once activated. With success support for 6 months, as well as a first consultation for free. So that's available until the close of play Monday, the 6th of Feb. So do email us to secure that offer.